I'm just going to throw this out there. Do you like to plan? For some of you watching, you love to plan. You get the whiteboard out and you get your calendar out and you get the team around and you love to plan. And others of you watching, you are like planning, if I have to. And then there's some of you maybe in the middle. Well, what I want you to consider is having a plan. Now, some of you are going to make it more detailed, great, but I just want you to have a plan. And I want you to understand why having a plan is important. Let me give you some signs that you need a plan or signs that your current plan is not working, okay? Let me give you these. Volunteers are leaving. Morale is low. New volunteers seem to be falling through the cracks. Leaders are spread thin. Your leaders are exhausted. And there's a lack of volunteers. If any, most, or all of those signs are present in your ministry, you need a plan or you need a new plan because your current plan is not working. Now, that's not a knock on you because sometimes the plan used to work and some things changed. We've experienced a lot over the last 2+ years, right? And sometimes our plans just have to change. And if we don't, then we begin to experience some of these signs. So here's the first plan I want you to have. I want you to have a plan for onboarding new people. Here's a little secret. A volunteer will understand their future experience with you by how their present experience is with you, right? So if the onboarding experience isn't good, there is a natural default thought that the future experience of being on your team isn't going to be good either, and vice versa. If it's a great onboarding experience, then maybe down the road, and this could be right or wrong, but it's great too. And so having how you start people matters. People who run track, they talk about getting out of the block or off the line, right? How they start matters to the race. And your volunteers are no different. And so if you just send people an email, expect them to show up, when they show up, you give them a 30-second talk and you're good to go. That's not enough. That's not a plan. It's not thoughtful. It's not caring. Maybe they only need to know a few things to get started. And then you can add to it the next week or two, and then add to it the next week or two. Again, they don't need to know everything right when they start. Build on it. But you need a plan. Now, think about how you bring people onto the team. It could look a lot of different ways, right? It could be from the stage, it could be social media. You could have one of the newcomer type class or gathering after service, serve them lunch. They could come through a small group. Maybe you have an online volunteer portal. Maybe you have other volunteers who sign up new volunteers. Maybe, could be a million different ways. But thinking about how do we help a new volunteer start as they come in these different ways, these different funnels, these avenues, if you will, we have to think about what that looks like. So some of the questions could be how do we set them up well to volunteer? What's their first time volunteering look and feel like? What does volunteering time number 2 and number 3 look like? You see, these questions are really helpful. What's this feedback loop? How do we check in with them? How's their experience going? Some of these questions, some of these interactions that we should be having, how's your experience going? What do you feel equipped well to do? What do you feel like one thing you need? Things of that nature. And then you begin to think about how do you develop them? So for me, training is how we get them started, maybe up to the first 90 days, and then development's what it looks like ongoing, because development is ongoing, right? And it's, we do real-time walkthroughs. We understand frameworks and how we do things and why things matter and why they're this way and maybe they need to change. Maybe we give examples of success. We use stories, right? We bring in outside voices to help affirm and support and encourage and train us to continue to do well. We learn about best practices. All of these things say we have a plan. And guess what? Step number 2, work the plan. If you have a plan but don't work the plan, then your plan is worthless. So Spend the hard-earned effort, hard time doing the plan, creating a plan, and then put the plan into action and bring the people into the process that are going to help make that happen. And people will appreciate you having a plan, the plan having flexibility, and the plan having purpose. Try it, and you'll see it'll add a lot to your team.